You know, the TV show Mayberry? It was Mayberry, but it was on the West Coast.
It was a small town. I believe when I graduated in 1960, the sign said 10,000 people.
I decided to live in Gilroy because it was a nice, perfect place to live.
You knew everybody. Everybody was friendly. You could talk to anybody. They would help you in any situation that you needed.
You know, that was good and bad because they knew you too. And my mom heard if we did anything wrong, but that's a small town.
And things were safe. You could stay out. I mean, you were right there, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. As long as you were home.
My name is Henry A. Diaz. I was born here in Gilroy, July of 1930.
Edwin Diaz. I was born in 1934. I was born at home, 125 South Alexander Street.
Joseph Nick Rizzuto. I was born 1930 at the old O'Connor Hospital in San Jose.
My name is Nancy Jane Pierce Felice Valencia. I was born in April 24th, 1940 in Algona, Iowa.
My name is Peter Ralph Burge. I was born on May 17th, 1942 at Wheeler Hospital.
My name's John Armenta. I was born in Gilroy, August 8th, 1943 at Wheeler Hospital. And I was the first one born in Wheeler Hospital in my family, and actually the first one born in a hospital.
Frank Louis Angelino. I was born at the old Wheeler Hospital on July 4th, 1944 at 4:43 a.m., so you could guess what my lucky number is.
We came down to Gilroy.
He moved down to work on the railroad here. Southern Pacific transferred to Gilroy. I don't know the exact years, but it was over 45 years.
I believe I was the first one born here in Gilroy. When my sisters and them came, there was 7 of them.
I think they met in New Orleans, because that's where they originated and then come out west. It was hard to make a living those days, and it was more opportunity out here than it was down there. I think they went to San Francisco, but as they came down to Gilroy, that's when my dad got into farming, south of Gilroy. Well, I think it was first apricots, then prunes, and then tomatoes and bell peppers and cucumbers and all that way, and garlic at the end. We had the winery. The prohibition was done before. We got grapes from around the area. Chepatari, I think Manzo was another one. All over the foothills was vineyards. We had to crush them and ferment them and make your wine. And he made the dry wines like Claret and Sauterne. We sold them at the house. We had people come from Monterey and Salinas and buy wine from us.
We came over on the Mayflower, so probably on both sides. My parents were both from Iowa. They met because my father ran a restaurant and my mother came to work there. We came to Gilroy right after World War II in 1947 to visit my Aunt Doris, who lived on Dryden Avenue. And we ended up staying and bought a prune and apricot orchard at the end of Dryden Avenue. It was a lot of work, and it had no house, so my father had to build a home on it. We lived there until I was a freshman in high school, which was 1953. My mother had gone to work for the dispatch, and my father had a couple other jobs, other places, so it was best to leave the farm. She sold advertising, which was not what many women did, so there was a lot of harassment that she had to go through. I remember, the guys in the back setting type, and they would razz her a lot. In those days, that's kind of just the way it was.
My father was born in New Idria Mines, south of Hollister. But my mother was in the Berkeley area, worked in a hotel there. My father worked the elevator there, and they met. From there they went, it was history. My father was a meat cutter, so he probably had work here. They moved on Dowdy Street, and they were there ever since. My dad was a journeyman meat cutter, and he had 2 men working for him. They had a counter in the store, fresh meat counter on, and in the back they had a freezer compartment where they would people would buy a quarter or half of beef and have it cut up, quick frozen, and then I'd deliver it to them and put it in the freezer. They also did accepted deer from the hunters around the state, which was real good because you could get poison oak off the deers because they still had the hide on them.
My dad was born in Mexico, came to the United States to work on the railroad, and then after that he picked crops. My mother's parents were born in Mexico. They came to the U.S. to pick crops. My mom was born in Bakersfield. My folks, they met in Glendora and got married and picked crops. In about 1939, they came to Gilroy. Liked it. My mom, she had 6 kids at the time, which is good for harvesting, but really not good for, a lifestyle. She wanted a better life, so she said, I want to live in Gilroy. Dad agreed. They moved into a house on Old Bolsa Road. It was a barn, dirt floors, one large room. They lived there for about 2 years until they could get enough money for a down payment on a house. They bought a house on Eagleberry Street in 1941. And then in 43, I was born. My dad drove tractor for Percy Dexter out on Hecker Pass. He also worked for Ning Young, who had some land. But the family in the summertime, harvest time, the entire family would grow and pick crops. A big moneymaker was prunes, actually. My mom said that in one season, with the 6 kids, they made enough to get a down payment on our house on Eagleberry Street. My dad passed away when he was 52. I was 9, and so my mom had 8.5 kids to support. So she tried a few things. Actually, she tried sharecropping, which I didn't know that people did. Eventually, she got a license to cook food in the house and have it taken out. And it actually became fairly popular in town. People would call in, take the orders. At times, if they couldn't come and get it, my brother or my sisters would deliver the food. So I think we might have been the first DoorDash on bicycles because they weren't driving.
My grandparents on my mother's side came from Austria to Campbell, and my grandfather came from Italy and met my grandmother, who was also in Campbell, and they got married, and the whole family moved to Gilroy in the New Avenue Rucker area. So I'm kind of 3/4 Italian, not full. My parents did farming the whole life when I was born. We prunes mostly, but we also had apricots and walnuts. So we grew up in the country. My father personally had 25 acres, but my 2 uncles at Angelino brothers, we had 400 acres of prunes and some apricots and some walnuts across the street. We had all of that. It came from 1950, when I was 7 or 8, to 10 to 1954, when things kind of got better and we were doing better. My father said, do you want to do ranching? And I said, no, I want to go to college. And he said that I'm selling everything. And we moved to Carmel Street, and he bought a bunch of houses. And that's where we were the whole time.
We lived there in the section house, what they call the section house for Southern Pacific.
There were individual apartments. We had 4 rooms. It was a kitchen, a front room, and 2 bedrooms. The rest was railroad families that worked for the railroad. So there was 5 in our room. Yeah. And on the girls' side, there was maybe 4 or 5.
Each person had their own. They had 6 apartments there, and there were 6 bathrooms, 1 for each family. The only thing they had was 2 showers, and we had to share the showers with them. They had water tanks, big water tanks, and they had 2 of them. We had the bathrooms, we had 3 on one side and 3 on the other side of the room. And we had water tanks in there. It's just like a water heater, but it was a bigger tank, and you had to light it maybe a day before that you're going to take a shower.
We didn't have electricity. Everything was with candles and kerosene and stuff like that.
Yeah, we had electricity. Yeah, we had electricity all the time there, yeah.
As they moved the power line, the poles down, then we had electricity.
We had a phone with a party line when I was still out at the ranch.
A party line is a telephone with maybe 4 or 5 other people were able to use that same line. So if you picked up the phone, you could hear somebody talking, well, then you hung up. Or if you try to talk to somebody, you wonder, man, was that guy listening to me?
I remember the phone we had 1 long and 4 short. You had to sit there and listen now when they would ring it. If it was for you, it wasn't somebody else on the line.
Our first phone was a party line, obviously, everybody had one. But to get orders on a party line would have been a trick. We had our own line.
No telephones when we were growing up. Not even in the house.
When we lived as a family, we didn't get a phone until maybe I was a senior in high school. Then we had a phone. When we were young, we didn't have a phone.
When I got married, then I remember getting a telephone.
But I do remember the first phone we got. You would call the operator to make a call, obviously. And if the line was busy, she would say, "The lion is busy." Not the lion, the lion is busy. That's, for whatever reason, that sticks with me. And the number was 121R. It's the little synapses in your head that close every once in a while. 121R was our number.
We listened to the radio. Jack Benny. Oh, you'd listen to the ball games, which was great. And, my dad was always interested in baseball. We always listened to the baseball games.
I think we'd listen to the radio, even after we got the TV. We listened to the radio probably more than the TV set.
Then the television. Well, that came in way later. Man, that was in the 50s, I think, is when television came in.
We got a TV about 1951, 52.
I think I got my TV when I got married. We didn't have no TV at the house.
We didn't have a TV when we were young. We didn't get a TV until after I got married.
We did not get a television until I was a freshman in high school. It was 1953, but they were fairly new then. I had seen them babysitting because I used to babysit for Dr. Campbell all the time, and they had a little teeny TV. I swear it was only that big.
It was, I think back to what we see now, terrible, but it was the modern technological adventure to sit there and watch it.
I'm thinking it was probably early 1950s. It was, with just black and white, not much on there. Westerns and cartoons and stuff.
We were one of the first people in the neighborhood to have a TV. We had a Hoffman TV that was as big as that couch, and the screen was like that. So being a money guy that I was, I charged the kids on Saturday morning 5 cents to watch cartoons. Hop-Along Cassidy, Howdy Doody. We watched that. I charged them 5 cents to come and watch the movies.
But when I was a kid, we used to go and do odd jobs out in the fields. We used to go pick peas or cucumbers, and other than that, we'd pick prunes.
As a family, we usually pick prunes. There's a lot of prune orchards around. In fact, this probably was prune orchard before they were built.
And then my dad got raising apricots, and then we had the apricots. We used to cut them and dry them, and then from then he went into the prunes. You were born in it. You were born in it because if I could walk, my mother would say, "Get your little pail. There's an apricot over there, there's another one over there," and start picking them up.
Oh, first memory of chores was actually picking prunes and cutting apricots when I was very young, maybe under 10. I didn't like it at all, but so I kept forcing someone to say, "Come on, can't I drive the truck?" So one of my relatives taught me at 11 to drive a truck in the fields, and I would drive the truck down the rows, and they would put the boxes on the truck, and I never had to pick anything again.
There was no boy in the family, so I was the appointed boy, even though I had 2 older sisters. I'm the one that ended up outdoors doing all the work, picking prunes, cutting apricots. Trays of apricots and prunes needed to be carried and put out to dry, and I was at one end of the tray, and my father was at the other end.
And in the height of the summertime, we had 200 to 300 people working for us. We had picker cabins, which I had to go clean. And when I was 11, my sisters taught me, the older sisters that I had, taught me how to handle and do money. So my father made me the pay clerk. We paid them in cash, and I did that at 11 and 12 years old. Write it down, pay all the people, they'd line up, and we'd pay them $3 to $5 a day, I think. I don't recall how much.
My mom, we had to chop wood, and it was a job to chop wood.
We had to cut wood because we had a wood stove where they cooked on. And in the shower, we had the water tank. So we had to cut wood for all that.
What didn't we do? We had to pick up the brush and burn it, help take care of, feed the animals that they had.
A lot of chickens, which was my job to feed them. And we ended up having to sell eggs to our neighbors because we had so many eggs.
So we had a lot of animals. We had a garden, of course, and we had dogs and cats and chickens and the whole bit when I can remember in the 50s. And I had to take care of some of those. We had chores in the garden and in the ranch all the time.
We also had a cow. I never was good at milking it though, but I made the butter. We had a big old wooden butter churn, and you let the milk set and the cream would come to the top, and then you'd skim the cream off and make butter with the cream. And we also sold butter too because we had so much.
That was a completely different life cycle as living in town.
Started working at home, mowing the lawns, keeping stuff clean as you can. And my father had the meat market. Naturally, I went to work there, cleanup kid. I say I was 14 or 15 after school, come and clean up. And then gradually you learn a little bit more and you do a little bit more. I got to clean pots and pans, the good stuff.
My dad, I worked with him for 2 seasons, just in the summertime, when they needed extra help.
We laid track, posts. We helped build the railroad.
It was hard work.
It was hard work.
So my mom cooked everything from scratch. My favorite was her meatloaf and mashed potatoes.
She was always cooking. She was a good cook. Of course, she had to feed us. And
Actually, my mom was an outstanding cook. She used to make great empanadas.
Well, she did polenta, which I thought was very good.
soup, pizza, cooked a lot of chicken, and there was beef. Anything you could think of, she would cook.
The meat was chili, beans, rice. That was our dinner, yeah.
Beans. We always had beans. My mom always had beans cooked. And we had meat, not as often as we wanted, but we had that too, yeah.
People think we ate steak all the time because my father had the meat market, but it wasn't. We always maybe got the inexpensive cuts or something that maybe wasn't moving. And my father liked to cook or in barbecue because he was a cook in the army.
Menudo. Menudo is tripe. You cook it with corn, sauce, just about anything you want to put into it. But it is very good. You know.
And she was great for making pies and cakes.
My mom liked to bake. Apricot pies were good. She made a lemon meringue pie, which I didn't care for the meringue, but as I got older and smarter, I enjoyed it. And there's always chocolate chip cookies with walnuts, which we got from the backyard, a tree. And believe it or not, my mother made a prune cake. It was very, very moist.
She baked all our bread. All our bread was homemade. And also she made angel food cake because we had so many egg whites.
And she made bread pudding was my favorite thing when I was growing up.
So we never starved, that's for sure.
Growing up was fun. When your work was done, you could go play and do anything you wanted to do. We had a lot of fun, and there was a lot of kids in the country my age.
We all played together. When we were small, the building used to be once all the bedrooms and then the bathrooms were on the side. But we used to play handball, throwing the handball over the roof of the bathrooms. And then they would catch whoever was on the other side, catched and had to run around the building and throw the ball, and the person he hit was caught. They threw the ball. It was a rubber ball.
And Ellen Peterson lived around the corner, so I would go visit them. We'd trade funny books sometimes.
Well, we on a ranch had a lot of boxes and different things and different buildings and barns. We played hide and seek a lot when we were young.
For fun, there was always games, kick the can, hide and seek. It was easy. You know, there was hardly any cars on the block. You could look down 2-3 blocks and you wouldn't see a car.
We played cowboys and Indians and dress up with the guns and the whole bit.
Where the old house was, we were close to the Uvas Condadero Creek ran behind our house. So as kids, we're down there fishing, you know, catching pollywogs, frogs, and it was a ball, you know. And that's where the fun came.
The house was the focal point. There were no other kids on the block. We had older people on the block. So most of the games were focused around the family, playing in the street, until I got a bicycle, and then it opened up Gilroy completely.
There was neighbor kids that lived across the orchard, probably more than a mile or so away, but I had a bicycle. And I rode my bicycle everywhere. I went up in the mountains by myself. There was an old mine not very far off a Route Road, and I would go there sometimes. And sometimes the neighbor kids would go.
We used to go they had a skating ring, outdoor skating ring. We used to go there and skating on the weekend.
Played ball a lot. actually Severance School, and it was right in back of us, so I could cross the neighbor in back and go over to Severance. They had a football field, they had grass, baseball field, basketball courts, that kind of stuff.
We played softball, you know, we played basketball, we played tetherball, I believe that's the thing that goes around, yeah.
As a kid, we went to the library at least once a week, and Mrs. Grodhouse there, that was the head librarian, she saved me books. So I never had to pick out books. She knew I loved history, and there would always be a stack of books for me.
We did go to the hot springs when I was a kid because it wasn't far from the ranches, have a picnic up there. My father would take us when we were young.
Yes, we have. We went to the hot spring. We used to go to the swimming pool up there. And there was quite a few of us who used to go up there and have fun.
We used to go up there, have barbecues. Yeah, we used to go there during the summer, mostly the summer.
Oh yeah, to walk around up there was really pretty.
At the time, it was all Japanese people that had been returned from their forced evacuation from California. So they had nowhere to go when they came back because all their ranches, everything had been taken, unless sometimes some super really nice person took care of it for them and gave it back to them. But otherwise, they had no place to go, and so they were just full up at the Gilroy Hot Springs. And that's what I remember when I drove in, is how many of them there were. And I had a couple of friends that were, well, I had a friend that lived there.
We used to go to Bellado Park, Uvis Dam, Mellow Dip, which was a swimming pool south of town. Yeah, Oakdale Park.
Oakdale Park, yes, used to go there all the time. That's where we used to have 4th of July parties for my birthday with 50 or 100 people. I thought the whole thing was for me because I was born on the 4th of July. About 10 years old, somebody said, this is not all for you, you know. I thought the fireworks was for me. I don't know.
We went to St. Mary's School here in Gilroy. We didn't have to pay because our mother worked there.
Ooh, the first one, I think it was Elliot. And then we went to Jordan.
I went to Jordan. I went 1 year to a Wheeler, the cafeteria. We could use go to the cafeteria if we wanted to. And for a dime, you could get a bologna sandwich made with Perzoli's white bread, which was absolutely scrumptious. And since my mother we never had bologna in our house, so that was a big treat, and a dime.
I enjoyed school. I mean, I was getting out of the house, meeting people. I was relatively shy. Started in the Jordan in the first grade, went through Brownell. It's all walking distance, so it was real easy. Come home for lunch when they allowed us.
Well, we lived only about half a block from Jordan and Brownell School, so we walked. And kids from the other side of town, they had to walk all the way over there too. There was no buses and cars in those days. But paybacks were when we went to high school, the kids on the west side had to walk.
I went to school on the school bus always, because Dryden Avenue was a fair ways from town.
I went to Rucker School in the country on the bus. I graduated in 1958 and then went to Gilroy High School, the old Gilroy High School.
My brother's idea, he says, I went to Bellarmine. That's how I got there. It was his idea. When we went to Bellarmine, boy, I mean, they put you through the works.
No, high school was a lot of fun. As I say, it was a social affair, you know.
In high school, I played football. I wrestled. I was on the wrestling team. We won the championship we were in the SCBAL, that league, in San Jose League, and we won that division and the championship.
I love sports. I was on a football team, track team, too small to play basketball.
And I went out for track.
Yeah, I played track, and there was somebody in the family that beat me out my record. Yes, I had a school record for years.
I did not play any sports. I was in the band at Gilroy. I thought that was kind of fun. I just played in the jazz band and different bands at Gilroy High.
I became commissioner of publications my senior year. I really enjoyed that. I had to write a column every week for the Dispatch. Even though my mother's a writer and my sister's a writer, I was not gifted with that, but I managed anyway.
High school was a great place. The teachers were fantastic. They helped both professionally and personally. I could talk to any of them. Mr. Baxter, Coach Baxter.
My coach from high school, Art Baxter, very good. He treated everybody the same. He's a good person.
Mr. Merrill, the math teacher, great guy. I was helping my mother make tamales and reading my math book, which is probably I shouldn't have been doing, because I got some mole on the math book. And that stuff stains, like it stains. In any case, I remember washing the book off and I took it back and I was sure he was just gonna chew me out for ruining this book. And I'm reading the book and he comes up and looks down. It's a big red blotchy stain on the thing. And he looks at it and he said, "What happened?" And I said, I was making helping my mom make tamales, and I tried to clean it off. And the guy looks at me, and he just shakes his head, pats me, and goes. What a nice guy. I mean, I was expecting to be chewed out, and he just said, "Nice going, I guess."
10th Street was the end of town, south end, and 1st Street was up north.
Downtown was small.
But Gilroy downtown had everything you needed at that time. Barbershops, bakeries, restaurants, grocery stores. But in the early 1950s, that changed. My father and the Goodrich brothers opened up a store, Sparkle Center, on 1st Street. It was the first strip mall in Gilroy.
From the 7th Street down was what they called Chinatown. And later that was the best place to get Chinese food. Everybody went to Leon's, and he didn't cook until you walked in the door, even though you called and ordered it for. So everybody brought a deck of cards and sat there and played cards while he cooked your meal, which was absolutely to die for.
What I did in downtown Gilroy was mostly work. When my dad died, I got a job selling newspapers, the Gilroy Dispatch. And after school and in the summer, I'd go down, get a dozen newspapers, and take the newspapers and go north out of there, and go down Monterey, and I'd pass the bank on the right, and then there was J.C. Penney's, and I used to go in there. My sister worked there. They used to let me go in and see if I could sell a paper or two to the customers. Go down the street, there was a furniture store, the Strand, soda fountain, Gilroy Auto Parts. Cross the street, go down to the bus station, cross. Sometimes I'd go to Betancourt's Market, which was off on the other side of the street from the bus depot.
I don't know if you still remember the old store, Betancourt's. He used to give us credit there. My dad, so every time we went there once a month, he would pay the bill. The owner of the market was a heck of a nice guy. If we went down there and got a candy bar or something, he'd give it to us, which was good because my dad wouldn't have to pay for it.
Go back up Monterey, there was a gas station there, neat old guy. Angus was a flying aid station. Say hi to him. Lawton's Jewelers, Jim's Sport Shop.
There was 2 drugstores, Johnson's and Wenz's.
Well, there was a lot of stores. We used to go to all of the shoe stores, and we used to go to the Fountain, and we used to go to Jim's Sport Shop. We used to go to the old Purity store, I believe was downtown.
Continue up the street and go by Steinmetz and Hall's Clothing Store. And depending on how the business was, I'd cross the street at City Hall and end up back at the Dispatch. That took about an hour, but you say, what did I do downtown? I'd talk to people. It was amazing.
And then on a treat on Saturday when work was done, my father and my uncle would take us to the old A&W root beer on Monterey, and we used to go and get a gallon of root beer for $1. And that was like 1950-ish, 54 maybe. So that was the real treat to go get root beer.
The Strand was downtown. Of course, my brother and I, we'd work to get our work done so we could go to the theater on Saturday. We had to have our work done or you don't go.
There was the Strand Theater, which I remember fondly.
Oh, yeah. Yes, we went to the Strand Theater all the time, every weekend. They would let us in through the side door.
Yeah, it was only, what, 10 cents
It was
to go?
It was even more than we can afford to pay anyway. But
It was a treat. Cost a whopping 20 cents to get in. But you got a newsreel, you got a cartoon, you got 2 full-length movies. You know, and then Wednesday afternoon they had a matinee.
Jack Peters ran the Strand Theater, and I did go occasionally. I feel like I first paid a dime to go when I started to go to the theater.
We used to go often because it was, I mean, you got popcorn and a Coke and something, and candy for $1 or something like that, you know.
We used to try to go on a Saturday. Then they had a cereal. They had a cereal running. You got to see it. And then you just, you know, it was short. And then you wanted to go back again next week to see what else would go on it. Yeah, they were smart to draw you in that way.
It was mostly war movies that we used to go, or cowboy movies.
Friday nights they usually had westerns.
Actually, the only one I kind of remember from being real young is Bambi, which was, of course, very sad.
The Creature from the Back Lagoon, I watched that, and of course the Wild Ones.
I do remember going to the Strand and you'd go in the loges or whatever, and there was so much gum on the floor, your feet stuck to the floor.
You had to behave pretty good in there because Jack would be around with his flashlight, spotting it on you in case you were talking or what have you. So, yeah, he kept us all under control.
And we'd take the girls to the loges if we could, and then somebody would come with the flashlight and say, "Get out of here."
I met my wife at Coconut Grove in Santa Cruz. On a Saturday night, we always headed over, a bunch of us would go over there to dance. And then I told her where I worked, and she drives in and visits me one night. And that's how we got together. We got married 1957, downtown Gilroy at St. Mary's.
I met my husband, he was Joe Felice, Joe Felice, because there's 2 or 3 of them, and he was Country Joe. They had a ranch and still do south of Gilroy. When I was a freshman, we started to date, and we dated all through high school. And he was a few years older than me, and we married right after I got out of high school. After we married, we moved to that ranch, and it had pears at the time that he raised. And I had 4 children, boom, 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 4 and 5 years.
In about 1957, when Sputnik went up, they focused on math and science in the schools, and I was in the 8th grade, which was really good for me because that's kind of what I liked anyway. So I had decent grades and a relatively good background in math and science. I did try Chico State for a year, got some decent grades, but I really couldn't afford it, so I joined the Navy. I went into nuclear power training in submarines. I became a nuclear plant operator, got onto a submarine, did 5 runs in different places around the world, mostly in the Mediterranean, North Atlantic, that type of thing. Finished with the Navy, and by then I had married Kathy Martin.
Well, John and I and Kathy and a bunch of us, Paul, all were friends in high school, and I went out with Kathy a few times, and then we went to the prom once, and we dated. And then her parents really liked me, especially her mother. And all of a sudden, this suave John Armenta comes along, and when Kathy found out that he had more money than I did, dropped me like a hotcake.
So to say I had more money is probably not true. I did get, I used to get 50 cents an hour when I worked at Hall's. And, I can see that would, the dollar signs in my wife's eyes from 50 cents an hour. Okay. Maybe not.
Anyway, it's kind of true.
I worked different jobs. I worked at Gentry's for 38 years. I worked for Buyers Motors for a couple of years.
When I was 18, I got into the cannery, and within the second year that I worked there, they gave me a steady job, and I worked there for the rest of the time.
My first job was working for Standard Oil. They were on, which is 10th today. They would drive in and stop. And I says, "Can I help you?" "Well, I need gas." Well, I says, "There's 12, 14 pumps in here. Where you parked, I can't hit you with any of them." "Oh, okay." To please the people, you had to clean the windshield, you had to check the oil, check the tires. It was just a round robin of doing stuff.
I worked for my father a little bit when he had a meat market there in the store, but then he stopped and he retired. And my wife's uncle said there was an opening at Gilroy Lumber behind the train station there to the east. And I went down there and I got a job, and I worked there for 35 years until they had a lease with the Southern Pacific for the land. Southern Pacific wanted the land back so they could build a maintenance station there. And that was in 1996, and I'm still waiting for it to be built.
My actual first job was I went to work at the dispatch probably about 1980 when my kids were older. And I worked there about 7 years. I sold advertising like my mom. After I worked at the dispatch, I went to work up in San Jose, which was much more lucrative.
And I worked in the shoe store. I did that for a while. And I like meeting the people. A lot of the people were really nice. But you had to be careful, which you did. Well, you told them what the size should be. Here they're complaining that their feet are bothering them. And that's the reason why, because you want them too short. It's hard to convince a lot of them that they need longer sizes. And a lot of times people wanted a real wide shoe when their foot wasn't that wide. And when they walked, they'd slip out of the heel. There was no picnic. And then I bought the shoe store from Semino's. We had Rizzuto shoes from that time on until we closed. I've had it for 38 years.
I went back to college, got my mechanical engineering degree, got a job with General Electric, building and operating commercial nuclear power plants. Stayed with them for 25 years. great job, mostly international work. I think I worked in, at times, maybe 13 different countries that had power plants. Japan, all of Europe, Mexico. Actually, Kathy and I lived in Mexico for 3 years while I built and started up 2 nuclear units down in Veracruz, Mexico.
I went to San Jose City College and graduated. Then I went to San Jose State. And then I got drafted into the Army in 1966 when the draft was high. And I fortunately got to be a RTO. That's how I got in this business. I was a radio telephone operator in the Army. And that's where I kind of got interested in the broadcasting part of it. I wanted to be a newscaster. So it kind of all connects there. With the Army, they're the one who paid for all of my schooling. And that's how I got Columbia School of Broadcasting. And you had actual members of radio stations teach you how to be a broadcaster. And it took 1 year. And if you graduated high in your class, you got an automatic job at a radio station. And I did, and I went to Fremont and started at some station that was a country station. And I didn't do very well on the air. I was not good at the technical part of it. I was playing commercials at the same time I was playing a song. And so in the third day, they said, "We have to fire you. You're not very good at this. We like you, so what else can you do?" And I said, "I don't know. I could try sales. I have some sales background from college." And that was my first job selling advertising. And I was extremely successful the very first week, and I went on and on and on. And I had a great career of 36 years, and I never had any other job in my life.
Kathy and I moved away from Gilroy when we graduated from high school. But we're still Gilroyans. I mean, we're visiting people here, different folks we know in town. We've grown up with their kids.
I was happy to come back to Gilroy because I really liked the small town atmosphere. All my friends were here. But I had to live in San Jose when I worked at the radio station as they required. So as soon as we could, we sold the house and moved back to Gilroy. I got very involved, really going way back to Bonanza days. It was one of the first things that I did community-wide for the city. It was great. It was fun, and it was local, and you knew everybody in the parade.
We helped with sponsors. We donated money to certain things. Little League was one.
I had my 2 oldest boys from Little League all the way through until they got into high school.
Both of us, we ended up coaching a lot of boys, yeah.
It was very important for me anyway, to make sure the kids got their education and did their sports.
I wanted to make sure that they had a chance to play, because I used to see a lot of Little League where half the kids didn't get to play.
Well, I don't think they would have had the opportunity if I didn't coach them.
We had the big house on Gilroy, and the kids started leaving, and as I understand it, somebody from the county came and said, "We got foster kids that need a home. Just take them for a little while." And so my mom said yes. She took them in and had 5 different foster kids.
I volunteered 30 years at Henrico Park. Then I also was on the board of the South Valley Symphony for about 10 years. And now I'm on the board of the Friends of Gilroy Library.
I was lucky enough to retire early, and instead of working, I went into nonprofits. I did do one thing that I'm particularly proud of. I'm a co-founder of Honor Flight Bay Area, and we formed that in 2013 to fly World War II veterans to Washington, D.C. No cost to them, but so that they could go back and see the World War II Memorial, which had been recently completed.
I worked on the board with the Gilroy Foundation. We did a lot of good things for Gilroy, and I was happy to help them and be the president for 2 years. You can't imagine going to the awards and handing those out to the kids, which I did several times, that the look on their faces when they got something that they never thought they were going to get.
My sister Elisa was involved in setting up the first couple of garlic festivals.
I missed the first one, and I missed one when my mom died, but I think we worked right up till 2 or 3 years before they shut her down.
Since the second year I worked there, I did almost every job there is, from pouring beer to then I ended up doing years of being the assistant at the arts and crafts.
My son was with the Scouts, so we made corn on the cob and did quite well for 3-4 years. And then we got into sponsors, hospitality area, where the dignitaries would come in. They were the only people who could come in, and the sponsored Pepsi, Coke, whoever it was. And that was a good gig, good team.
For about 10 years, the Armenta clan would gather, and we would take over the beer booth for a shift. So we'd all get our T-shirts, we'd all show up, we'd turn on the spigot to pour beer, and just one beer after another, just, hand them to another person, and they'd hand them out into the crowd. That was a lot of fun.
I worked at the wine booth for the Gilroy Foundation when I was president for 2 years. I worked for the Rotary pouring wine. I just did a lot of things because I really thought that's something that to give back to the community, and I'm pretty big on that.
Well, the advice I would give them, go straight, because it doesn't do no good to go crooked.
Well, stay close to your family, your parents, keep your friends.
Well, you got to work hard and try to get ahead, because money's hard to come by, and you need money to do stuff, because you got to buy a car, you got to buy a home, and you have kids, and then it gets expensive, because you want to send them to school. Everybody thinks it's easy, but it isn't.
I would advise them to take care of Mother Earth and not be wasteful, and to take care of their family and to take care of their neighbors and friends as they were a family also.
First thing I'd say is be yourself. Be good to each other. You don't have to like everybody, but you can be civil. One of the things I would say was make the world a better place. Use all the talents that God gave you. Don't put them under a rock.
I was offered a lot of opportunities from Gilroy. I mean, the teachers, the neighbors, friends, the family. And I think I see the younger generation not taking advantage of opportunities. But the other thing I'd say is take a look at what's being given to you, and maybe it's time to start giving back instead of just taking.
Well, I say stick to family. I think family's everything. I'm very big on that, my whole family. I think if you're out there and you're a 20-year-old and you're not sure what you want to do, go to college, you get a good education, and get focused on something that you want to do and stay with it. When you find your niche and you think that you're going to be good at it or you are good at it, stay with it, focus on it, and you'll have a great career. And that's my advice to everybody. Besides the family part, I think that's extremely important, to be close to your family no matter what.
Thank you.